interest in photography came from an encounter with the photographs of Alfred Stieglitz, actually. And when I was about 16, I read a lot of the things he had written about photography. And I went to the Museum of Modern Art in New York and saw the big Edward Weston show, which I think was 1946 or 47. And also several shows of the photographs of Walker Evans, who I guess I consider aujourd'hui to be the greatest American photography, because he was not only, he had a part that was very social, and also what his description of the United States, and also the way he took photographs of buildings of all different sorts, from colonial type churches to poor tenant farmers' houses, everything was, and so he's the photographer in the United States that I consider today the best. And then when I came to Europe and I started working, I would say that I was very influenced by him and by Henri Cartier-Bresson, who at that time, I'm talking about the very end of the 40s and the beginning of the 50s. And I did a lot of photographs of that time also in the city of New York, which were published in an Italian newspaper called Il Mondo. And then I stopped completely photography for a period of 10 or 12 years when I had a child. And when I came back a second time to photography, I had a great urge to work only in color. And because my husband is a painter, I wanted to do something that would bring painting more close to a public which seemed to be completely alienated to painting. And so I started noticing that everybody was painting murals on the outsides of buildings, and those which I chose, which particularly interested me, were done in trompe-l'oeil, which actually, it's the word that the Italians use, the Americans use, everybody uses the French word for, even though actually it was first in history, you can find it in Pompeii, and the Italians, when in the 16th century, when they began decorating churches a great deal, that they called it quadratura. But today, I would say, in general, everybody uses the French word trompe-l'oeil. And at the same time, because my husband and I were living here on the Côte d'Azur a great part of the year, I noticed that a great many of the buildings of the 1900s were being destroyed. And even if they weren't great architecture, they certainly gave a certain character to the Côte d'Azur, which the buildings that were complete had no character whatsoever. They looked like any place. And there's something about their relation to the trees, the palm trees and other trees here that really went, I should say that the best, in fact, all this part of France is something that was, it started really in 1900s, in the end of the 1900s. And today I am working on a subject which about sculpture and how certain situations in sculpture imitate life. And I would say that in English the title might be Make-Believe, because actually they're sculptures which are trying to imitate a real life situation.